To me, the marathon is a beautiful struggle, a mentally and physically exhausting battle with oneself. It's a painful experience, yet it brings immense pleasure. It's truly poetic. I am 6 weeks away from running the Ballarat Marathon on April 27th. After a grueling 10 weeks of training in the Aussie heat, including a cyclone last week, I'm ready to fully commit to the next 4 peak weeks. I'll be introducing tougher sessions and higher mileage than ever before, all with the one goal I've been itching to tick off since Melbourne, the elusive 2:45 barrier. This is Project Ballarat 2:45. Sup guys, and welcome back to the channel. So this is an episode of the Training Diaries. I'm so excited to finally be kicking off the Project Ballarat 2:45 series, and what comes with that is the Training Diaries episode. So Training Diaries is an episode where we deep dive into my previous week of training, a conversation regarding all things training, nutrition, workouts, everything that goes on in the previous week. So all of the fun stuff that goes into preparing for a sub 2:45 marathon. If you missed my previous upload, make sure you go check that out. It's episode 1 of the Ballarat series. Really proud of the edit on that one, and hopefully it can fire you up as much as it fired me up. So last week it was back to business as usual, and I was able to hit all of my workouts, my sessions, and I was able to hit my total mileage target for the week. The week before last was a little bit shaky. As you guys may know, there was a cyclone that came through the Gold Coast, Cyclone Alfred, which did make things pretty interesting. But even with the cyclone, I still managed to get 100 Ks for the week. It's a little bit shy of my usual 120 kilometer weekly mileage targets, but still was able to get that done. So overall, I was pretty happy with that week too. And this week I was still able to hit that 120 kilometer target. Well, 123 kilometers to be exact. So for this prep, I'm actually coaching myself, and I'm following my 16-week marathon ebook with some slight adjustments just to suit my schedule and to suit my weekly mileage goals. You can purchase a marathon plan from the link in the description. I have times ranging from 2 hours and 45 minutes all the way up to 4 hours, so very suitable for a lot of people. That's all I'm gonna say about that, guys. Let's move on. So the body is feeling good. It's feeling really good. I was a little bit worried as I just took on a casual job at the gym aquatic center just up the road from me, just so I can get a little bit of extra cash to save for the wedding. If any of you guys watching have either paid for a wedding or had their own, well, I guess that means the same thing. You know, weddings are expensive, so a little bit of extra cash here and there will always help. But this means that I was adding on 20 to 30 hours of work onto the workload that I already have, which I thought was gonna be quite challenging while running 10 hours a week and, you know, juggling all of the other jobs that I do, like content, etc., and coaching, running coaching. But I'm pretty happy with how I've managed to use my time wisely, and I think I'm gonna come out on the other side of this better. It's definitely going to be challenging for the next 6 weeks, but I'm pretty much just fully embracing it. The lock-in is real this block, guys. So let's deep dive into the training that was the week of the 10th to the 16th of March. Look, I don't know about you guys, but this just it makes me happy just going through this. It's been a few months since I've done this last, but the Melbourne prep, and I've honestly missed this, guys. I've honestly missed this. And by the way, there is going to be a viewer Q&A where you guys have sent me questions that you would like me to answer. I'll be doing that after I do the training breakdown for you guys right now. But let's get into it. We've got Strava ready. So just a little bit of a breakdown of how my weeks have been looking over the last couple of weeks and with the weeks leading forward. I do a Monday recovery run on the treadmill. Tuesdays and Fridays are my session days. And then Wednesday is midweek long run. Thursday is an easy hour or a roundabout, depending. I also do a 30-minute double in the afternoon on a Thursday. And then Saturday is usually another easy hour. And then Sunday, we've got the big longie with a workout sprinkled in most of the time. But we've been hitting plus 2 hours probably the last, let's just say maybe 8 to 10 weeks. We've done 2 hour plus runs on a Sunday. So they're definitely getting easier, but they're also getting harder because they're getting longer and they're getting the marathon pace sprinkled in. But we'll get to that at the end of the week. But we're gonna start off with Monday. So Monday is my recovery run. I like to do this on the treadmill. It's an easy 60 on the treadmill. I've been doing this like clockwork since pretty much the beginning of the year. I like to treat it as my sacred 60 minutes where I get to catch up on all of the week's anime. I usually get 3 episodes in the 60 minutes, and honestly, it feels like it's my little treat where I just get to treat myself and then just put the noise cancelling headphones in and just run. So I usually do these at 5:15 pace per kilometer. So that gets me 11.42 kilometers. And I did these ones in the Neo Zen. So you will see a trend of the Mizuno Neo Zens throughout this week. That's because with the cyclone, and long story short, I was unable to access a treadmill. I had to do all of my running outside, which meant very wet shoes. And I think the New Balance SC Trainer V3s that I have, they're a little bit wide in the toe box. I'm just gonna wrap this up as quick as I can. My toes have been jamming a little bit with my strides, with my steps. And with the wet shoes combining with the jamming a little bit, I thought I was getting a ingrown toenail, a bit gross. So I really needed to nurse that, and the Neo Zens gave me no issues and weren't making it worse. So I ran in the Neo Zens pretty much as I could this week. And right now, I think my toe is completely back to normal. So it seems to have worked. So happy days. So I ran in the Mizuno Neo Zens is where I was getting at for that. Perfect, so that's Monday. So we move on to Tuesday. So Tuesday is my session day. So if you guys know the drill, if you've watched any previous series, you know that I start all of my workouts. I run it with the group at the main beach. So we all do a 5-kilometer easy jog warm up before we get into the session. The session is usually around half an hour to 40 minutes, and then we do like a couple of K cool down. So that was no different. We started off with a 4.8 kilometer warm up, slightly shorter just because I think the car park was closed from the cyclone. But we did that at 4:55s, and I did that in the Mizuno Neo Zens. Then we go into the session. I did this one with Luke from the group, and it was light work for that bloke. He actually ended up leaving me for dead, but it wasn't one of those sessions anyways where I was looking to race. It was more trying to dial in. So let me explain what I mean by that. The session was 5 kilometers run at marathon efforts or marathon pace. And in this case, 3 minutes 50 per kilometer is going to be my goal pace that I'm going to be targeting for pretty much all of my marathon specific sessions. So that's going to be pretty much all of my sessions leading forward until race day. I just want to get as comfortable as I can and just get as efficient at running that 3 minutes 50 per kilometer pace. So that was the goal for then. So I ran the 5Ks. We actually ran it at 3:48 per kilometer. It's funny, I actually found myself having to slow down a little bit because we started to naturally pick up the pace, just because you kind of get stuck in this mindset of you're doing a session and you should be sending it the entire time, which I do struggle with sometimes. I think I should be working as hard as I can all of the time. So it was a bit of a mental shift where I had to actually focus on stripping it back. What is the point of this session? It's not to run a 5K as fast as I can or like to redline for 5K. It's about dialing in that marathon pace and just becoming really comfortable at that. So I tried to dial it back and ultimately ended up with a 3:48 average for the 5Ks. Then we had a 2-minute recovery jog, which we did at 5-minute pace. So nice and chill, really just wanted to get that recovery benefit in. And then we moved on to the second part of the session, which was 5 by a minute on, minute off. So the minute ons, we really did not put a pace on this. We just were thinking about an effort, and that effort was hard. All right, so whatever felt like a good pace at the time, I just wanted to get the heart rate up and tick the legs over a bit faster. So minute on, and then the minute off was really just a jog. Again, not really thinking about a pace for this one, more just running to an effort, running to a feel, and just making sure that I am recovering for those minutes. We were seeming to float around that 4:30 pace a lot of the time. And then the on efforts, the minutes on, were 3:23, 3:25, 3:26, 3:23, and then 3:17. And that's what I was talking about with really having to shift that switch in my head where I don't have to be running as hard as I can all the time. I'm kind of just programmed to finish strong, and that last minute, of course, I'm going to give it a little bit more. So that's why we've got a 3:17K or 3:17 minute split. So yeah, then we finished off with a just over 2.5 kilometer cool down. That was done at 5:05 pace. So really, with all of my warm-ups and cool downs, guys, I really just do not care what pace I'm running. I'm just running at whatever pace. The idea is not to think about that sort of thing. It's literally just to move the body, get the joints lubed up, you could say, and just get the body like moving and alive, to wake the body up, to then be ready for the session, essentially. That is Tuesday. So we ended up doing 10.5K for the session, and then a just shy of a 5K warm up, so 15Ks for the morning. So pretty solid. So I've got another run actually. I ended up doing a double on the Tuesday afternoon. So that 30 minutes double that I've been doing usually on a Thursday, I had to do on the Tuesday because I had work commitments. Yep, that casual job I was talking about, that's where it's throwing the spanner in the works. So I threw in that extra half an hour double on the Tuesday because I wouldn't have time to do it on the Thursday because I had work. So you may actually see that throughout the series where I'm kind of shifting around that 30-minute double in the afternoon, just to kind of suit the schedule and get it in when I can. That's exactly what I did. I did 6Ks, 5-minute pace on the dots, and I did that one on the treadmill. Super easy. The best thing about having a treadmill at the apartment that I live in is you can literally jump down for a 30-minute double almost whenever. So, and it's in the aircon, it works really well. So did that in the Neo Zens, and I didn't say this earlier, but I did the session in the Brooks Hyperion Elite 4s PBs, which you guys know I'm a big fan of. Then we move on to Wednesday. So Wednesday is my midweek longie. That is usually 90 minutes, and that will be usually around 18 to 19, sometimes 20K, depending on who I'm running with and how fast we end up going. This one I was solo. It was an afternoon run because I had work in the morning. It was a bit of a punish, but we ran 18.44 Ks, 4:53 average per kilometer, and 90 minutes on the dot. And you can see I did a little bit of exploring here from the photos. The beaches of the Gold Coast got pretty torn up and the erosion is pretty bad. So I got some photos there just to sort of show you guys just the scale of the damage. Those people are tiny in that photo. So that drop off would be, 5-6 meters high. Yeah, pretty crazy. Did that one alone and in the Neo Zens as well. Then we move on to Thursday. So Thursday is where I go out for an hour, and that's exactly what I did. 5-minute pace, 12 kilometers in total, 60 minutes, bang, bang, bang. Easy stuff. Did that one in the Mizuno Neo Zens again. I'm definitely clocking up some mileage. While we're here, let's have a look at how many Ks I've done in the Mizuno Neo Zens. 604 Ks. They are getting up. They're getting up there. Okay, then we come to Friday, which is another session day, another favorite day of the week of mine. This session I actually had to do in the afternoon because I worked all morning at the pool. And this was the first session that I haven't done in the morning and without the group in a long time. And I'm gonna be honest with you guys, I was feeling pretty flogged out from a big day of work and some other things I had to do in the afternoon. So this one I actually started at 5:15 in the afternoon, and I really wasn't feeling it. It was one of those days where I just was trying to tick it off and get it done. So just getting out there and doing it was half the battle, but I was not gonna run easy. I was doing that session. So the warm up, I actually did 4K instead of 5 because I thought I'll just cut the session short and then make up the Ks the next day on the Saturday. Well, that was my original thought, but I ended up doing the 15K for the morning, which I was actually really proud of myself about. But the session that I ended up going into was 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 5, and those are all minutes, and that's with a 2-minute jog recovery in between, or a 2-minute jog float. Okay, the idea for this session is to do the 5 minutes at threshold or around marathon pace, and then each time you go into your next rep, your 4 minutes, 3 minutes, 2 minutes, 1 minute, 1 minute, you want to increase the pace and try to pick it up a little bit. And you want to keep those 2-minute floats. You want to keep them pretty honest. So not a recovery jog. You want to be within, I guess, 30 to 45 seconds difference between the rep and the float, I would say. Just basically keeping the gas on, but without cooking yourself. So going into this session, my plan was to just do all of the reps at marathon pace, as I wasn't feeling amazing. So I ran the first 5 minutes at 3:45, so I was already ahead of marathon pace. And I thought, oh, I'm doing pretty good. Let's just see if I can hold 3:45s for the remainder of the session. The 4 minutes I did at 3:44, the 3 minutes, 3:43, the 2 minutes, 3:44, 1 minute, 3:42, and then the 5 minutes again was at 3:43. So I kind of stuck around that 3:45 pace for the entire session. So it just goes to show that even if you're not feeling amazing, there is always adjustments that you can do for the session. I probably could have absolutely sent it and written myself off, and then I would have just had a snowball effect and probably felt absolutely shithouse by Sunday. But I chose to scale the session back and listen to the body and just like do myself a bit of a favor and not hate my life. And it ended up being a really good session, and a session that I can look back on and be proud of. I think that it's really important that you can do that. Otherwise, running's not enjoyable. You're not going to want to do it, and then you're less inclined to go out and do those harder sessions. So you gotta adjust sessions and adjust workouts so that it's favorable for you, and so you can ultimately enjoy running, because that's why we do it, because we love it. That ended up being a 15-kilometer afternoon. So ended up hitting the mileage target for my sessions that I would like to usually hit. It's around that 15 Ks. So ultimately pretty stoked with myself with that. Then we come to Saturday. Saturday is just an easy hour. I did this one with a couple of friends, so it was really nice, running a little bit slower. Took our time with this one, and it's always good to be social as well. And I ran 12 Ks at 5:23 pace. So yep, a little bit slower, and it took an hour and 4 minutes. And that was just really nice. And to be honest, I needed a nice slower one because I had a big Sunday long run coming the next day. So we come into the Sunday longie, guys. So it was a big one, and I had a bit of a session, and I was lucky enough to have a few people from the group join me. I had Luke, so Deeks, and then I had Dave, who they're both amazing runners, and it was just awesome to have them there, pretty much dragging me along through this session. No, I'm just kidding. I mean, I made it through pretty well, but it's always good to have some company. On the cards, we had 2 hours and 30 minutes, and included in that 2 hours and 30 minutes, I have 3 by 5 minutes on, 5 minutes float. All right. So the first 90 minutes of the run was done at an easy pace. Then we got into the 3 by 5 minute on, 5 minute off. So the 5 minute ons were, of course, the aim of the game was to do that at marathon pace, so around 3:50 pace. The first 5 minutes, we actually averaged 3:47, so a little bit faster, but I'm happy to do that, of course. That's pretty much bang on where I want it to be. Then the 5 minute float we did at 4:26. Definitely getting some recovery benefits in, but around that 35 seconds slower than the on rep, which is, in my opinion, a perfect float. At this point, I was feeling pretty good. I will mention I wore the Mizuno Neo Zens again, just because I was a bit worried about my toe, and I decided to go for the comfier route with my shoe selection on the Sunday. And overall, I'm really happy that I did. But I did mention that in my Strava post that it was pretty hard to get going in the faster paces with the Neo Zen. I've said this before, but I think it does shine at running nice and easy. It's kind of like a slower, more comfortable option. But when you pick up the pace in it, it can feel a little bit dead and can feel, it's just a little bit harder to get going, which definitely showed in the marathon efforts. The floats were amazing and actually felt really, really good. But the marathon efforts, that was quite tough. That was quite tough. So for the second 5 minute effort, we ran 3:44 pace. So again, around that same effort, and was feeling pretty good. We floated again at 4:30. So around the same, maybe a little bit slower, might have been feeling the heat slightly. And then the final 5 minutes we did at 3:47. So the same pace as the first one. I will admit this was starting to get pretty tough. I was never in doubt during this rep at all, but I was definitely starting to notice the Neo Zens not giving me what I want from a shoe. So noted, maybe don't wear the Neo Zens if I want to do some marathon efforts. Definitely for my next couple of long runs, I'm probably gonna be aiming more towards a super shoe, just because I really want to just be able to dial in that feeling. And then we had a 5 minutes float to finish the session portion of the long run, and that was done at 4:22s. Like I said, you finish the session, you gotta give it a little bit of some, just because you're feeling good. And then to cool down after that session, I did another 7K, so that was about 33 minutes, and ultimately finished the full run at 33 kilometers and averaged 4:35 pace per kilometer, and it was 2 hours and 31 minutes and 9 seconds on the legs. So my biggest long run of the block, and one that I'm probably most proud of. There was no hiccups, no niggles, never in doubt for the entire session. It made me confident, and I'm feeling really good going into these big peak weeks that I've got coming up. But that is going to conclude the weekly breakdown portion of the Training Diaries episode. Hope you guys have enjoyed this so far. What we're going to do now, I'm just going to go into the viewer Q&A. This is where I answer the questions that you guys have sent in on my Instagram story question box. This can be about nutrition, training, race strategies, whatever you would like to know, my life, shoes, anything. And then I try to answer these questions completely off the cuff and without any preparation involved. So yeah, completely honest and unbiased opinions answering your questions. So let's get into the first one. All right, into the first question, guys. This one's from Kelso. He's actually one of my athletes that I coach. So shout out to you, mate. Also ran a pretty sick half marathon the other week. He's bloody ripping into training. Proud of this bloke. But his question was, biggest life hack you found to help balance a crazy work/training/personal life? So the best thing I would say is, especially after I've had to really kind of balance a few things lately, with planning a wedding, getting this new casual job, and running 120 plus K a week marathon training, is the better that you can schedule these things, the easier your life is going to be. So whether that's scheduling your training, I mean, that's obviously, you have to schedule your training, you got to schedule in your work, and then you actually have to schedule in your personal life as well. So book in times to spend time with your family or your significant other. Book in those times in advance to see your friends and be social. I think just poor preparation equals poor performance. So what's that saying? I can't remember what that saying is. Basically, I'm just saying the better that you can actually schedule yourself, I feel like the less pressure there is and the easier life is going to be, in my humble opinion. I'm not an expert in this at all, but that's just what I found has worked really well since I've had to like pick up a few extra commitments as of late. Okay, next question is from Steve Woolley. Shout out to you, mate. So race shoes for Ballarat. So at this stage, it could change, but my shoe choice for the Ballarat Marathon is the Adios Pro Force from Adidas. I've really liked how they've felt underfoot. And to be honest, I don't really have another race shoe in the inventory right now in the rotation. But yeah, honestly, it feels like it's going to be the best option. I am going to test it over the next couple of long runs in some key marathon sessions and some key marathon workouts during the week. But yeah, I think that's definitely going to be my choice. And you just can't go wrong with that black and white colorway. It's too sexy. It's going to just make the Ballarat fit look. But yeah, thanks for that question, mate. Adios Pro 4s, of course. Next one, we've got a question from Matt4786. So first marathon this year, the goal is sub 4, looking for some cool track sessions. Any ideas? Cool track sessions. Well, I guess it would depend when your marathon is, so when you would do these sessions. But if you're, I say, in the first 4 weeks of your 16 weeks and you're looking to build that top end speed, some really good track sessions is like 10 times 400 meters with say 60 seconds rest. And you would do those 400 meters at maybe your 5K effort and see if you can maybe work it down to like a 3K effort. Just depends on how well you're recovering off those 60-second standing recoveries. That's always a really good one to just like run really fast and feel like you're, building up some good like top end speed. Another great one would be, when you're further into your marathon training plan, maybe like between 4 to 8 weeks out. 4x2K is a really good one to do on the track. You can kind of mentally break down those 5 laps each time. And then I would probably either do, depending on how close you are to the marathon, I would do maybe a 90-second standing recovery. Or if you're looking to build that aerobic base a little bit more and just make that more marathon specific, I would maybe add the 90-second recovery jog instead, just to keep the body moving and keep the engine firing between those 2 kilometer reps. But I think that's a really good one, and I would aim to run those 2 kilometer reps at marathon pace, or at least marathon effort. So what marathon effort would feel like to you at that point in your training. But usually it would probably be, depending on how far out you are, maybe 5 seconds or a couple of seconds off your goal marathon pace if you've chosen a suitable goal. But yeah, those are just a couple of sessions. If you want some more, reach out, mate, and I'll give you a couple more. But that's just some that have popped into my head that are really fun to do. And this last one is from Logan Adams. So how do you include gym/strength training whilst also running 100+ kilometers per week? So basically my gym splits, I go to the gym 3 times a week, and I like to load that all into the front of the week so that I have the best chance to recover by that Friday workout, and especially that Sunday long run. I do not want to feel any fatigue from gym by that Sunday, because that's going to be the most important, that's pretty much the most important session of the week. Okay, so I do legs twice a week, and then I do upper body once a week. So Monday is my light legs day, where I do lots of single leg stuff. So single leg, leg extension, single leg, hamstring curls, and I also do some calf strength work and some Copenhagen planks. Not doing a crazy amount of weight, right? So not super heavy, more light stuff, more isometric stuff. And then Tuesday I will do an upper body session just to accommodate the mirror muscles and just keep some size that I would like to keep. And I like doing upper body, so I make sure I keep that in on a Tuesday. Then Wednesday, I'll do my heavy legs. So that consists of heavy calf raises. I do the leg extension and hamstring curls again, but more both legs together, and a fair bit heavier with some holds as well. And then I'll do things like Romanian deadlifts, and I'll do split leg squats and all that sort of fun stuff. But I like to sort of front load it into the start of the week, and then hopefully I feel better by the end of the week. But that's what I've been doing for maybe the last 10 weeks. I've been working with Darcy from the Run Clinic. He's prescribed all of my strength training, and he's also helped me with some foot issues as well. So if you are from Brizzy, I would 100% recommend reaching out to them if you have any lower limb problems. He's a lower limb specialist, but he has been amazing and has helped me a lot. Awesome, guys. That is going to conclude the Q&A section of the Training Diaries. Remember, if you have any other questions that you would like to ask me, I'm going to put a question box on my Instagram story, or you can literally just comment them down below, or send me a message on Instagram, and I can add them into next week's Training Diaries episode. But with the end of this episode and with this new week starting, I'm officially kicking off my 4 peak weeks before my 2-week taper and then race day. Okay, so these 4 peak weeks are going to be nuts, but I'm fully going to be embracing them. I can't wait. It's time to lock in on the marathon session. So all the sessions that I'm doing for the next 4 weeks are pretty much going to be marathon specific, and just dialing in that 350 per kilometer pace as much as I can and trying to get as efficient as I can at that pace. That's going to be the main goal. I'm filming a session with Document Media this weekend, so this weekend's upload is going to be absolutely fire. So you got that to look forward to. But that is going to conclude the first Training Diaries episode of the Project Ballarat 245 series. I hope you guys have enjoyed this one. If you have enjoyed it, make sure you like and subscribe if you're new to the channel. Follow along the journey of me explaining and documenting everything that goes into running a sub 245 marathon. I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.